Hockey Podcast.
I feel a lot of things in a butt. Most of them are cancer, but you know, that should be the opening line. You can feel a lot of things in the butt. Most of them are cancer. Oh boy,
We're going to be in rare form tonight. It's a late edition.
That's not how I want to enter the episode. This is how I want to enter the episode. Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 91 of the Handsome Hockey Podcast. The last episode. I'm just kidding. We're here. What if I was just
jokes on you?
What if I was just breaking that news to you?
A lot of shit's closing down in the world right now. We got to stay open for the people.
Yeah. I'm Jake. Across from me is
the angry manlet Evan.
That's going to bother me every time. We are turning this around relatively quick this time. I'm kind of proud. I'm so proud that I can't say proud. I'm pretty proud of us for getting multiple episodes out before the holiday, before we disappear for another 3 weeks again.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot to talk about then. We'll get at you when we can, but while we are here, let's get down to business.
And by get down to business, I mean
defeat the Huns.
I'm playing a lot of Ghost of Tsushima right now, so I'm defeating the Mongols.
Well, that's a reference to Mulan
with a katana. Yeah, Mulan. Yeah,
another perfect baby, not Mulan, but Dylan Larkin.
Perfect baby Dylan Larkin is injured.
Suffered a big injury.
He got knocked the fuck out is what happened.
He was sprawled on the ice for entirely too long in entirely like a manner that you do not want to see a human sprawled on the ice for.
Especially a perfect baby.
Yeah. Like
who is your captain?
Like he looked like the outline of a body in a like police crime procedural,
but like in a negative relief where it's like the ice, but he is the outline in red. Yeah. Did I mention he's a perfect baby and he's the first captain of the Red Wings to be from the state of Michigan, and so he's perfect and we love him in every way and we hope he's fine.
Yeah, it was pretty controversial. I think I'll let you lead on this one because, well, you're closest and most caring about,
and my feelings are hurt. And I will tell you about them.
Matthew Joseph coming after your feelings again.
This, you know what? Fuck, I screw his mom too. He's a son of a bitch. He has gone after my perfect baby multiple times now. And in both occasions, somebody from the Red Wings has gotten suspended for it.
Yeah, it's funny how that happens.
The first game of last season, Larkin was coming back from a pretty severe neck injury.
I hate when you nick your nick.
That sounds awful. It's like you gotta shave better, bud. Coming back from a pretty horrible neck injury sustained at the hands of like the only time Jamie Benn goes down on anything is to cross check somebody in the back of the neck while they're already on their way to the ice.
Ayo.
So Dylan Larkin was hurt and he came back and was boarded by Matthew Joseph in the first game of the season last year. Larkin took exception to it, punched Joseph in the face with his glove still on, and was given a 1-game suspension for it. So in this game, Matthew Joseph now playing for the Ottawa Senators, who nobody cares about, except for the guy who paid like $1 billion for him. Was it Michael Andlauer? Yeah. There's a scrum in front of the net, as there often is, and it's on a power play. And Matthew Joseph turns around and punches Dylan Larkin in the back of the head, which, you know, if we know anything from the Steve Moore, Todd Bertuzzi incident, is not good.
Yeah, always results in sad things for everybody.
Yeah, and so as he's going down, another play, I forget who the other guy is now, and
just complete like by happenstance just plows into him.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was going to cross-check him,
Mhm.
but with getting punched in the back of the head, Larkin's, as most of us would, going down, and that cross-check ends up catching him right in the face. And that is, I think, what knocks Larkin unconscious.
The coup de grace, so to speak.
And Larkin, like, you know, normally like a human falls down and, you know, they're trying to control their movement so they can brace themselves for it. Larkin just fell.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, hockey players do that. It's like when it's obvious that they are
Out.
just out cold. Or I mean, you know, football players do it. Like that's what the safety who had that heart attack on the field did. Like it's just like you just go down like a sack of potatoes.
Yes.
And that's almost scarier than seeing you actually get hit in the head.
Absolutely. And so Larkin is fully unconscious on the ice. Like you look at his posture and you're like, that man is unconscious.
Yeah, exactly.
Or super drunk. Either way, mostly unconscious.
Just taking an Irish nap.
Yeah. And and then he took an Irish goodbye. Actually, no, it was very obvious when he came off the ice.
I was going to say, no one wondered where he went.
As a result of this, David Perron, seeing his captain on the ground, very clearly unconscious.
Oh, captain, my captain.
Just decides to attack the nearest possible Ottawa senator, which happened to be Artem Zub, or Zub.
I think it's Zub.
Zub.
Yeah. Yep.
Zub sounds like it's more accurate, right? Like Zub just sounds like something you like a bad guy in Superman. So Artem Zub, who is always like oddly fantasy relevant, like just on the cusp. Like he gets dropped in pickup a lot.
Like if he has 4 games in a week, that's like, okay, pick him.
Yeah, absolutely. He gets definitely over the line attacked by David Perron.
Yeah, cross-check to the face.
Cross-check right to the face.
That Jordy or Jamie Benn would have been proud of.
He was probably watching at home, not going down on his wife, going, nice.
This guy, we can get along.
We should recruit him for the Stars. Who is he? He's played over 1,000 games in the NHL, Jamie. Yeah, but I don't care about anybody but myself. So, and my bromance with Tyler Seguin. And so you can tell I'm salty because I'm making fun of fucking everybody in this.
Yep. Let's so there's a lot to go around. Let's just lather it on thick.
So after everything, the brouhaha unfolds. Again, while Dylan Larkin, perfect baby Dylan Larkin, is on the ice unconscious. The other player, last name Kelly, I can't remember his first name. I feel bad. Gets a 2-minute misconduct or a 2-minute penalty for cross-checking. David Perron gets 5 in a game and then gets suspended for 6 games.
The suspension ham-fistedly like handed down minutes before he's supposed to take the ice for warm-ups.
Of course. And Matthew Joseph for punching a defenseless player in the back of the head. And you know what? Even if somebody is perfectly aware that you are behind them, if you punch them in the back of the head, they're defenseless. Like that is a sucker punch. Gets nothing. No penalty, no suspension, fucking nothing. David Perron, who has never been suspended in over 1,000 NHL games played, gets 6 games.
Not only that, he got leveled by Joe Thornton in 2010 with a hit to the head that cost him, I think, like a year and change away from the league, coming back from really significant, I think it was head injuries.
Yeah.
And Austin Matthews was suspended 2 games for doing the same thing to Rasmus Dahlin. But this particular spin on the wheel of punishments did not go in David Perron's favor. George Parros has gone from having a pretty solid start to the year to just, what the fuck are you doing, buddy, in about 4 weeks.
And of course, Gary fucking Bettman, who, as we all know, you cannot believe a word that comes out of his mouth, was on ESPN in their studio with PK Subban, amongst others, Mark Messier and somebody else.
So Gary Bettman and then a bunch of people he did dirty.
Yeah, was asked about the how punishments are doled out and how it seems very nonchalant, and like completely defended George Peros and was like, there is no problem here. All of these penalties and punishments are doled out with the utmost care. And it's like, you're full of shit, Gary. You're full of shit. Nothing you say is trustworthy, and you're an asshole.
Gary Bettman, like lie detector test hour would be quite an experience.
Gary, was the NHL basically saying they hate gay people your idea? No. On the needle.
Or like the interrogation scene with Princess Leia from the first Star Wars. Like you have the little dark like death bot.
You have no idea what it is, but it's got a giant needle coming out of it, so you're like, that's bad.
That thing was one of the coolest things. In the early part of that movie, you're just like, whoa.
Yeah, it's like incredibly intimidating. Like,
and
you could have like a unicorn and rainbow coming out of the bed, but the needle on the front of that thing, you're like, I'm not paying any attention to the unicorn bits of this robot. It is about to do harm to Princess Leia.
Well, and you turn around and like Henry Kissinger probably like ordered one.
He's like,
I want one of those.
He created it. He's like, I've got this idea for you, George. And George is like, what is this? He goes, it kills people.
George Lucas did that much in-depth like research on, empires and how to make villains.
Kissinger was like, it kills people in Laos. I mean, it kills people. It kills people.
But occasionally it gets answers.
Yeah. So David Perron has officially appealed the suspension, which I think the first hearing means it goes to Gary Bettman. But because of the length of the suspension, Perron can ask to have it sent directly to an independent arbitrator.
Which you're going to do better than Gary.
Yeah, Gary will be like, 5 games in 2 periods.
You're going to like get a person that can read an email probably.
Yeah. Without like, nah, I won't go there.
Like an independent arbiter can probably like at least print a fucking PDF.
Yeah. But will they look as good in jeans?
Yes, and better, possibly.
So the thing that I want to bitch about the most here is perfect baby Dylan Larkin is injured, and I'm sad. And I'm tired of Matthew Joseph making me sad. And so if you out there know Matthew Joseph, you tell him that he made me sad. And he should feel bad about it, and he should apologize both to me and Dylan Larkin.
I think that's a very, very measured response.
Yeah.
This is why you are not the angry man.
Yeah. Also, fuck him. Yeah.
In other boy hockey news, Nino Niederreiter has signed a 4x4, $4 million extension with Winnipeg.
This happened right after we recorded last time. Yeah. So like it's old news now.
And it's like he's been pretty good this year and has been part of Winnipeg's kind of resurgence in some ways after their roster was really affected by a lot of turnover and a lot of speculation about trading star players and whatnot. And like Nino comes to town and kind of stabilizes the situation in some ways.
When Nino comes to town. Yeah. Niederreiter is a very undervalued player, I think, in the NHL. And from all the like writing I read about this, like 4x4 is a very good contract for Niederreiter.
Yeah.
What does he do? Scores goals, blocks shots, and hits people.
Mm-hmm.
That's like money balling in Winnipeg, like they do in Oakland, or they used to when they gave a shit about baseball in Oakland.
I mean, if your player has been traded for by Carolina, it's probably a decent chance that they're worth their salt.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So this is awesome. Nino was a Winterhawk, was at one point, I don't believe he is now anymore, but was at one point the highest drafted Swiss player of all time.
Oh, that's cool.
But, we've got a little bit of PDX connection to him.
I mean, the only Swiss player that was drafted higher than him was Toblerone.
I'm about to play hockey on the rink in which he would have practiced on, so that's kind of cool.
Well, bring your Swiss Miss.
I have a pouch on my desk, actually.
I just keep a pouch in my pocket.
Somebody gave it to me.
I do. Yeah. I put in lippers of Swiss Miss.
People were like, are you doing chew? No, gotta get that chocolate fix. There's lumps in there. Do you have cancer? Nope. Marshmallows. Really tiny marshmallows.
Speaking of really tiny marshmallows, supposedly when he got off the plane in February 2023, Nino said something along the lines of, "This place is nice. I thought it'd be cold."
Which, like, did he grow up at the top of the Alps? Is that why it wasn't as cold?
His hometown rink was actually at the top of Matterhorn.
Which I think the big reason we wanted to include this is because it's like a nice success story for Winnipeg. God damn it. Winnipeg. It's a nice, that was a Freudian slip if I've ever heard one. It's a nice win for Winnipeg, which has, had a tumultuous offseason with a lot of kind of media threats that people would leave and uncertainty. Getting a player of Niederreiter's quality for that contract shows that he really wanted to be in Winnipeg. That's effectively a hometown discount for a guy who can score 20 to 30 goals in a season. So,
yeah, the term I think is probably what he asked for.
Yeah, and I think he's 31, so like cool, like good for him. But yeah, like that could be the last contract he gets, and he gets to hang out in a town that he doesn't think is that cold. So that's cool.
And we like to keep tabs on our former Winterhawk friends.
The ones who aren't douchebags.
Speaking of a team that's not douchebags, in fact, they seem to be like the emotional child who has a well. The Canucks. The emotional child being Quinn Hughes. They're kind of regressing after a hot start. I think as everybody picked, their luck numbers were through the roof at the start of the season, and now they've dropped, I think, 4 of their last 10. Or sorry, they've only won 4 of their last 10.
They've won their last 3, actually, according to the Googles.
Okay, well, then they've picked up the pace a little bit.
They're not quite the Oilers, but...
I don't think that they're quite the Oilers. I think everyone was pointing to the fact that they have banked a lot of points. And
yeah, absolutely.
They're looking at, according to Money Puck, 84% chance of making the playoffs, which if you are a Canucks fan, that's got to make you really, really happy. And also, I mean, like, their younger players are starting to fire on all cylinders. Like Quinn Hughes has been just absolutely stellar. They're getting important contributions from like Kuzmenko and my boy Nils Hoglander is like starting to come on too. Like there's a lot of good indications from up and down their lineup. They're getting roughly what they invested in JT Miller, like in worth of his play.
Nils Hoglander was an extra in Boogie Nights.
The Penguins, they have had a hilariously awful power play for several months now, which is hilarious considering that was supposed to be one of the pluses of adding Erik Karlsson. And somehow a power play of Erik Karlsson, Evgeny Malkin, Sidney Crosby, Jake Gensel, and who am I forgetting?
Chris Letang is firing on like less than about a 10% clip. I think they had a stretch of 0 for 26. That's not good, Bob. No, except it's Jake Gensel had a power play goal against me tonight because he's a jerk.
You specifically. He wanted to take it out on you.
Oh, he pointed to the sky and it wasn't for God. It was, gotcha, bitch. And he said it about me. It's really kind of rude of him if you think about it.
Yeah, they did win the game against Montreal tonight. After much derision, it seems like maybe the media attention has gotten these guys to I don't know, do something to get off of the schneid that they were on, because that has been a really, really rough ride, and they are not looking good because of it. They're like less than 50% chance to make the playoffs at this point.
which good. Like I'm tired of Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, the Caps. I guess the Caps fell out last year. Just like get out of there.
Well, I mean, the Caps might be back in it this year, which with zero help from Alexander Ovechkin, who has been awful. The Caps and Penguins both at similar 30s percentile chance of making the playoffs at this point.
It's only a matter of time before every old guy on that team gets hurt. So
it's just going to be Dylan Strom's team at some point.
Which is exactly how you win a playoff series.
I mean, he was, he can be good. He was a really high skill player.
He can be good-ish.
The problem is he was drafted after just generational talents.
Yeah.
And in the midst of other generational talents. I've always felt bad for Dylan Strome. Other interesting surprises to you so far in the NHL year were at the third poll, sort of?
I am shocked that all of the terrible moves on the defensive side that the Blue Jackets made are not panning out for them.
Yeah, very funny.
No way Ivan Provorov with all his gay hating wasn't the big fix that was needed in Columbus.
Yeah, Damon Severson also been pretty ineffectual and then got injured. Philly, they're fun. What? What's wrong?
I have a hard time saying that about any Tortorella coach team.
No, I know, but you can tell that
they might be having fun
with the talent that they have. Torts' hard knocks style of coaching has seemed to have worked because they're just skating their dicks off every game. That whole team, they're going balls to the wall. I mean, he's got
how many more penis references can he make in this?
I'm just trying to do what Torts would do, man. Yeah. Did you know that balls to the wall is not actually a dick reference?
It is now.
It references something in trains and ball bearings.
Huh.
You're pushing a throttle to a wall.
But can you do that from the windows to the walls?
Only if the sweat drips down your balls.
See, I tied it back to penises.
Yep. Speaking of bitches crawling, Florida has clawed its way back to relevance after a pretty sluggish start. Money Puck has them as 89% to make the playoffs, which is, I think, much nicer than where they are in the standings.
They're second in the Atlantic, so I mean they're 1 point ahead of the Maple Leafs and 2 ahead of the Wings. So it's so early and things are still so close, and we also have the loser point in the NHL, so nothing ever gets settled until the last week.
I feel like a lot of teams have been missing loser points. We've been kind of analyzing all of the kind of slow starts and stuff, and it's oh yeah, you haven't gotten into, you've either lost that in regulation or you've lost in regulation, and that has caused you to lose that loving feeling because you can't get no loser point.
I do love that. One of my favorite stats is that the Wings are the second highest team in scoring this year, but only have a +14 goal differential because their defense is so bad.
Yeah, they got us boat race you.
They've given up 21 goals in their last 4 games.
What even is defense, man?
It wins you 2 of those games. So
defense is for suckers. The Coyotes are also, keeping with the clawing analogy, they're doing some pretty interesting things. They've gone on a 5-game win streak against really good teams, and I don't know, this is about the most effectual that we've seen them in a while. It seems like the mullet arena mojo is for real, even as they try and build a building. Are they going to become an Islanders thing where they go to another building, turns out that building sucks, and then they go back to the mullet arena?
Yeah, they're actually going to Brooklyn for a year.
Yeah, right.
They'll be the Brooklyn Yotes. Hell, there's probably Coyotes roaming around Brooklyn somewhere.
I would not put it past them.
At all. Coyotes are survivors. They do what they need to.
They do.
Like, again, it is kind of early in the year. The Wild totally suck and fired their coach, so that's but even they have they've gotten that new coach bump, and I think they've won like 5 of their last 6 or something like that. So
St. Louis could be so lucky. They jettisoned Craig Berube only 4 years after he won them a cup on the back of Le Pis Baby Supreme Jordan Bennington's stellar second half effort that they literally went from worst to first. Like, that will be one of the most incredible Stanley Cup team stories ever.
For those of you needing a translation from French, Le Pis Baby Supreme means the supreme piss baby.
I don't know. He's been there for 4 years. If you win a cup in year 1 and you don't for 3 more years, well, this is a business and you're going to get shown the door.
So far, the Wings have gotten 2 coaches fired. 2 of the 3 coaches who have been fired so far this season was right after a loss to the Wings.
Are they the Grim Reaper, just like going door to door in the meme?
Oh, every time they go play a team that's struggling now from the rest of the season, I'm going to be like, fire him, fire him, fire him.
Yeah, right. You could have like a forecast and a chance like that, someone gets fired, but it does seem like they're maybe going through the easiest picked apples first, the low-hanging fruit. That said, your Red Wings currently sit at about 50% chance of making playoffs in the Money Puck model.
The old adage is, if you're in the playoffs by Thanksgiving, chances are you're going to make it. It's like a 78% chance or something like that. And the Red Wings they won the day before Thanksgiving to get themselves into the playoffs as of that Thanksgiving day. And, they've played reasonably. They've won games. They have not played well. They've just outscored everybody, which is part of the battle. Let's not detract from that. They don't know how to stop anybody. Ville Husso kind of looks broken. As does James Reimer. Alex Lyon looks fairly good though, so whatever.
The goaltending is just like, well, we're doing what we can.
It's not that they're even giving up a ton of shots. It's that they're giving up a ton of high quality chances. And watching them, you kind of like hide under your pillow and your blanket with like one eye peeking out. It's like, like
prescriptions for blood pressure medication in the Detroit metro area are at an all-time high.
Oh, with that and the Lions collapsing down the stretch. Yeah. The Red Wings, they gave up 3 shorthanded goals in 2 games, I think, including one on a breakaway to Marco Scandella.
Oof.
And like, if you can't catch Marco Scandella, come on. Like,
you're not going to make it.
What are you doing in this game? Like, one of them was because Mo Seider had it on the point and was skating along the blue line and fell down.
That was one of the just saddest.
Yeah, and it was like, oh, there goes your 1D.
Yeah, who did they give up the
it was to the Sharks. It was Hurdle. Tomas Hurdle.
Well, Zetterlander Hurdle.
Yeah. And like, it was bad. That Sharks game was really bad.
It seems funny how the Sharks keep getting teams to do that.
Yeah. But the Sharks can't get the Sharks have only gotten 1 coach fired. So
yeah, that's a good measurement. It's like how many coaches you get fired in a season. Like,
yeah, it's like the year that Lamar Woodley hurt a bunch of quarterbacks for Michigan. Like, did your quarterback make it out of this game unscathed? Yes. Was he your first string quarterback to start the year? No. Well, counts. Sorry, eating babies. Speaking of injuries, though, to move over to the women's game, Sanni Hakala, who has been a fixture on the Finnish national team for quite some time and is captain of Finnish team HV71.
Sounds like a virus. Hockey team.
Like they made a movie called Contagion in Finland, and that was the name of it. Was forced to retire after colliding with the goal and being paralyzed from the chest down during a game. This is along with the Adam Johnson death. Those are kind of the big boogeymen of the sport. It's a sport where you are flying via physics on knives towards on a surface that is surrounded by hardened wood, glass, and the metal. The point of the game, metal. Yeah, and the point of the game is to barrel as fast and as quickly as possible with a weapon in your hands towards a framed metal object in the middle of said ice.
Has a person in front of it.
It's who also has a weapon, and more pads than you,
covered in pillows.
Yeah. So it is an inherently dangerous sport, and we have been dramatically reminded of that over the last couple of months here.
Absolutely, and it's amazing that shit like this doesn't happen more often.
I think that's a testament to the skill of a lot of these players. Is that they do a very good job of avoiding these sorts of things.
Not looking at you, Hughes brothers.
Yeah, they need some help.
They're just too fast for their own good. Yeah. That's the problem.
They are Luis Mendoza from Mighty Ducks 2 and 3.
A little bit.
But obviously our heart goes out to Sanni and their entire family and like the Finnish hockey community. This is a devastating loss.
Yeah.
The hockey community in any country is very tight knit, and especially in a smaller Scandinavian country that plays a lot of hockey.
Yeah, and takes it very seriously on the national stage. She put out a very heartwarming statement and is just looking to the future. There's been a GoFundMe that's been assembled for her as she starts what has to be a very arduous and frustrating task of healing moving forward. Our thoughts are with her and her families and her friends, her teammates, coaches, everybody that has had to be there for her in this time of need. It truly takes community to step up in these times for people like that. And so, yeah, I hope that she can find as much healing as possible, and who knows where her body will go in terms of regaining feeling.
It does seem like a wild card. Like some people make very dramatic recoveries,
right?
And some people stay in that state. And so we're hoping for the absolute best for her and her family moving forward, and hopefully the recovery process will be as full as possible.
Yeah, and we'll probably all be following her from a hockey community perspective.
PWHL is coming to your city if you live in like the hockey megalopolis of the Northeast.
The girls are back in town.
Yeah. Okay, I like it. Yeah. We have kind of seen the next iteration of build up to the league. We found out a couple of weeks ago that there's going to be a PWHL 3-on-3 tournament during the All-Star weekend, NHL All-Star weekend. We found out this week that the PWHL Toronto had sold out their season ticket allotment already, which is awesome and huge.
And Ottawa's not far behind them. Ian Kennedy saying they sold like 4,200 tickets in the first 7 hours of sales.
Yeah. But you know what? Nobody will ever go watch women's sports. It turns out. Fuck, everybody hates it.
No, this is awesome to see it get that much of a response right away, especially considering all the things that are sort of up in the air.
Like George Clooney.
I mean, they've nailed down buildings now they've nailed down rosters. I mean, I guess the only things left up in the air is like logos and jerseys. But that's
those
for next year.
The jerseys are out there and they suck. We've talked about this already.
I mean,
too.
they're okay. At least they
listen. Eternal optimist, Evan. They suck.
Yeah,
they
bad. Do. They're a placeholder. They will provide a starting point, but yes, they're a little disappointed.
They paid a 12-year-old $36 and a Huffy to make those on Photoshop. Yeah, they're like, no, just change the colors. We don't care.
Yeah, like pick a color from.
What's the worst font you can think of? Yeah, use that. Is it papyrus?
I didn't see any papyrus.
If there was papyrus, I would have never watched this fucking league.
It's all sans serif, so at least we have that going for us. The good news is the rosters did not disappoint. Coming out of training camps, we have most teams going with 3 goaltenders, which is kind of interesting. Mm-hmm. And each team has 3 reserves and then
7 defenders and 13 forwards.
It makes a whole lot of sense. These seems like, nice sizes, and the distribution,
like a size 6. I have no idea what that means.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah. A size 6 what? That's the question I leave to our listeners. Size 6 what?
The distribution of PHF players to PWHPA players to newcomers was something that you had picked up on that was really interesting.
Yeah, there was a ton of consternation about PHF players being locked out of the league, and that has largely not come to pass. So 68 of the inaugural rostered players will be were contracted to play in the now abandoned and strangled from life last season of the PHF. That is the largest percent. It's not a majority of players, but it is the largest percentage of players in the league.
The PHF, which was put on a flight to Vegas.
That was then like bombed by Russian drones.
That's a Godfather joke. That means you're going to get killed.
Oh. It's been a long time since I've seen The Godfather, so
I've been on this like Al Pacino.
There are worse kicks.
Yeah, dude has range. I'll give him that.
Absolutely. No, he's a brilliant actor.
It also helps when you can like have a starring role as a young stud and then like continue to stay interesting as you grow older.
Yeah, I mean he's no Carrot Top, but he holds up. Carrot Top was just on an episode of Bar Rescue that I watched, and I was like, who invited him?
Was he the bar that needed rescuing?
That dude has needed rescuing since like 1999.
Yeah, I thought the show Rescue Me was about Carrot Top.
It was just like Dennis Leary being sad. Look at all my friends die in fires.
Watch Dennis Leary become a conservative before your eyes.
But while it is good to see that these PHF players a lot of them have found a new home. 2 things of note there. One, a lot of them didn't. Mm-hmm. That's roughly half-ish of the amount of players who would have played in the PHF this year, who are not receiving a paycheck playing hockey, like at least in the United States. And 2, a lot of those players are making significantly less money than they would have in the PHF. I mean, we had Daryl Watts, who is making over $100K. I think Taylor Winskowski or Callie Flanagan from Boston had signed a huge contract, like $90K, something like that.
But we're never going to know how like real that money was. Like, considering that someone was able to just buy out the entire league.
I mean, the NHL did that to the WHA.
Sure.
And they had Gretzky and Gordie Howe.
Yeah.
There's pluses and minuses. Is it great that a decent chunk of PHF players found a new home in the PWHL? Absolutely. That's awesome. But their salaries are definitely lower than a lot of them would have been making this coming season or would be making right now. Really, there are some losses, but it is nice that a lot of them do get to keep being paid to play hockey.
Yeah, and I mean, one surmises that this will maybe be a more stable league than the PHF, hopefully, with the kind of deep pocketed funders that they have. Do you have any takes on the teams that were released moving forward? We were both overjoyed to see Amanda Levier and the Loon pads, which are cooler than her team's jerseys, land back in Minnesota.
Yeah, goalies from the PHF, Elaine Chuley and Carly Jackson, tough mustard, landing on their respective and PWHL teams is really awesome to see.
I think we could have called that, just considering how dominant they were in the PHF. Like,
for sure,
it wasn't average goaltending in the PHF like .925 or something.
That's
like
true.
that.
Yeah. Corinne Schrader also landed with the team. Actually might be the starter for, I think, Ottawa.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how the 3 goalie system results in timeshares, as they kind of, get a feel for how these goalies play out.
I'm kind of upset about like some of my favorite player. Well, one, no whale. That's the worst part. That's the absolute worst part. But like Kennedy Marchment and Haley Skamura are in cities that I don't really want to root for. So it's like,
but at least you want to visit Montreal.
True.
So that's one that I am kind of a favorite of already, just because it's got a couple of my favorite players, Teresa Vanasova, who just signed a 2-year deal, and then Jillian Dempsey. Like, how stoked are you to see these 2 names on one roster? Oh my goodness. And then Kennedy Marchment. Like, very, very glad to see this. And it looks like they have, if you go to the Ice Garden, they have all of these players. They list term, and some of them are unknown because, Lou Lamoriello just can't tell you. And
damn it, Lou.
Blame Lou. But they do a really nice breakdown. Specifically, Lydia Murray put together a really nice breakdown of all of this. And this just dropped yesterday, so we're still kind of digesting it. But yeah, I'm kind of a fan of Montreal pulling out of the gate.
Going with the theme of where the whale landed, Taylor Gerard is in Boston.
Whale watching?
Well played, sir. That makes me happy. From like a fun to watch standpoint, Minnesota could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's who I think I'm going to root for still in the American side, because I can't root for a team in New York that also does not play in New York, and a team in Boston that does not play in Boston. That just makes me sad.
Yeah, like,
the Boston team is going to be good.
Yes.
Like, that's another one where you look and it's like, okay, Cheyenne D'Arcangelo, Taylor Gerard, Hillary Knight, and Kaylee Fratkin on the back end. Like, very, very happy to see.
Kaylee Fratkin's probably their 6th or 7th defender. Like, that team is going to be so good.
Yeah. She was sort of thought to be on the roster bubble for a minute there, I think. So It was really happy to see her get signed to a 1-year. I guess that's kind of my takes on it. Yeah, the Minnesota team is also really fun to root for, and has Kendall Coyne Schofield,
Taylor
Heisey. I mean, I was zooming on Kendall Coyne Schofield because she's a fellow Illinois person, but
she's a fellow Illinoising.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Sorry, I hate myself. I don't want to root for Ottawa, but Haley Skamura is there, Katerina Morozova is there, Michaela Grant Mentis is there, Amanda Boulier is there. Like, it's I'm torn. I'm very torn.
Yeah.
Daryl Watts is there. I was so bummed. I was following online with the draft, and I was like, God, Skamura's got to come up. Not Ottawa. No, no.
Ottawa Montreal games are going to be the truth, I think. That could be really fun. That might be one of the early kind of grudge matches.
I'm upset with them for drafting Haley Skamura, who after the last World Championship has become I think my favorite non-Kennedy Marchment women's player. And I'm just sad that everybody's in Canada.
So far away.
Hey, but you know what? Maybe a Canadian team has a chance to win the PHL, unlike the NHL.
Yep, that could be cool. And
suck it, Edmonton.
In a kind of only tangentially related thing, the Walter Group, who is one of the investors in the PWHL, they also own the Dodgers, and they signed Shohei Ohtani for the nifty price of $700 million, which
$680 million of which is being deferred.
Yeah, like they're just gonna put cash under his pillow or something. Like
they are the Tooth Fairy.
It's very strange, but it's also very strange that at $35,000 for the minimum PWHL salary, Shohei Ohtani is getting 20,000 years of that.
So what you're saying is baseball's fucking nuts.
It really is.
It's stupid. I have a hard time watching baseball because of that. Like a relief pitcher who gives up like 6 hits in 2 innings but is considered a hero makes $20 million a year. I'm like, that's stupid. Why are we paying these people that much? They can't even fill their stadiums.
Yeah, I mean, and
granted, they play at like Tuesday at 10 a.m. But
well, and the other crazy thing about this deal is like NHL players compared to what Shohei Ohtani's making are just pale in comparison. Especially considering the crazy deferral. Shohei Ohtani is going to be making approximately the same AAV as Martin Jones.
Who, as we all know, he's Martin Jones.
He's an NHL goaltender. We'll leave it at that.
Yes. Speaking of other sports, the NBA in-season tournament has, of course, been a huge, rousing success, as you know, most things that the NBA does is. I think even like the MLS is next tournament that they had to get out of COVID was more successful than things the NHL does.
Yeah.
But just like NFTs and, caring about people who are historically othered, the NHL will be like 3 to 8 seasons behind on this sort of thing.
So the NHL did just come out with NFTs. Like that is a absolute accurate dig right
now. This year, like the NFTs are dead and the NHL was like, we got one more. You got some fake money for some fake things that you can really actually pay us for.
Oh my God. Just how could you be more embarrassing?
I saw this the other day that one of the like number one ways that people buy fentanyl is with Bitcoin. And I was like, all the more it's not real money. It's not real. Somebody assigned a value to something that doesn't exist and people were like, I'll take it.
Well, the value is the electricity wasted to assign the value.
Yeah, it's so like
so it has value.
The Hoover Dam dries up, but we're like, but Bitcoin's worth. Fuck off, like cryptocurrency.
I mean, at least if the Hoover Dam dries up, like we get to see a bunch more mob bodies.
That's true. We get to get rid of Vegas. That's just done. Phoenix, you're next.
So anyway,
Portland's gonna get real crowded though.
Yeah, the NBA in-season tournament looks like it's doing pretty good. It seems like it
seems really stupid from an outside perspective, but hey, whatever.
It is stupid and fun, and the brilliance of it, I think, was best distilled by on Puck Soup, and they said, it gives you another opportunity to talk shit to another fan base.
I was at a bar and it was on, and I was like, how can you watch the game with the court like that?
Yeah, right.
It's so hard.
Every game looks like the Kenyan flag or something,
or like 90s Miami threw up on it.
I get making some sort of differentiation in the court. I think that part is cool, but the lines that they came up with, or the designs they came up with, were just like, they're so loud. But anyways, people ask about it. People want to know why, and there's an answer for it. So like
But it's
the
mostly
NHL
like-
could do like, blue ice, or if they gave a shit about other people, like the multicolored ice for Pride Night that the
Look, the K-Wings?
Yeah, the K-Wings
Kalamazoo
did.
K-Wings did? Yeah. Respect Kalamazoo.
I think it's maybe a little bit more easy to dye ice than it is to paint a floor.
I mean, Pacific Islanders have been doing shaved ice for centuries, right? So
yeah, tonight
when I
for the NHL in-season tournament, our ice will be raspberry.
when I was in San Diego, we were on the beach and Sarah saw a shaved ice place and got shaved ice the size of her head. Like,
Traditional Hawaiian shaved ice rocks.
it was humongous and it was pretty tasty. Speaking of shaved ice, the Capitals are going to shave their ice all the way from DC to Alexandria and thus no longer be in the capital.
Capitals no longer capitaling.
That's like the Nationals no longer nationaling.
Yeah, well, at least you have the national.
I will always have the National, even if I wasn't a huge fan of their last two records. Still good, but yeah.
So
Anyways,
here's your reason for this whole fucking thing, and it's of course your boogeyman,
it's money.
Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin, who is a huge piece of shit.
He's a giant turd.
He's gonna basically gut a Chinatown DC sports mecca that DC fans love. Like Caps fans love going down there. I don't know.
So you're telling me that capitalism is going to destroy something that like non-capitalism built and thought was great?
Well, I mean, capitalism built it too.
But that's not
it was
mega
a big,
capitalism.
yeah, it was a big redevelopment.
You're
Like,
a big redevelopment.
I am. Thanks,
Yeah.
Mom. But it's just a shame. Like, I get that, Virginia wants to like lure away a big something from DC. Like, those state line cities are always sort of like playing against each other and trying to get what they can for their own
Technically,
economies.
it's a
Like, I get it.
district line.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, it's a state line.
It
That
should be
doesn't
a state line.
that doesn't have a state on one side of
Yeah,
it.
it should be a state line.
No, it's just like Virginia's a state line, and it's just on the other side of it. Well, fuck, if I know it's there.
Yeah.
That's the dark place.
Oh, do we fall into oblivion if we walk across this road?
No, you just go to the nation's capital.
You go to the place where the things happen.
You go to where everybody works for the government, and every building has to be shorter than the fucking Capitol for it
or
just
the
like
Washington Monument or whatever.
I think it's the dome of the Capitol or the tippy top of the Capitol.
Oh, good.
I mean, it artificially inflates the prices in DC.
Oh, as if they needed any artificial inflation.
Well, that's one of the things that like is principle in like just making it mostly insane is that the government has to overspend for everything because of this.
They were going to do that anyways.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes it easier, more fungible.
Possible names for this new iteration of the Capitals: the Washington west of the Capitals, or the fightin' Steve Scalises, as a testament to our fallen comrade Steve Scalise,
He's not fallen.
or a comrade.
He got up. He's alive. But he was shot in Alexandria by a political partisan, and we don't generally advocate for shooting your opponents in politics. Because
It worked for Aaron Burr.
Yeah. But anywho,
we lost Alexander Hamilton in that deal. So
I think they should be the Washington Scaramucci's.
Ooh. Yeah, or what was the name of that porn store? No, I guess that was in New Jersey, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go for infamous DC stores, you could do the Washington Comet Pizza and Ping Pong.
You know what you play ping pong with there? Bullets, turns out.
I want to use that like to troll people. Just like your whole fucking Pizzagate is an actual business that probably sells t-shirts.
Yeah, if they don't have themed t-shirts after that, they should. That brings me to the Washington Wizards, the worst fucking name for a team in all of American sports.
The Washington Gandalf?
It's so fucking bad.
Well, I mean, you know,
the Washington Saurons. It's like,
You know why they changed it, right?
yeah, because they were the Bullets, and that was offensive. That was a
Awkward.
great fucking name, though.
Yeah, it's just if
The Wizards.
that was some
The last
dumb
wizard
90s.
last wizard in Washington was whoever fit Marilyn Monroe into that "Happy Birthday, Mr. President" dress.
No, the last wizard in Washington was Bill Clinton being the last president to balance a budget. And then, he did all of his other.
It turns out
Wizardry.
that's all we're ever going to remember about him, despite the fact that his domestic policy was incredible. Foreign policy?
Yeah, and,
He botched some shit.
he botched plenty of shit. Notably,
We had a Brady bill.
yeah, but he balanced a budget.
Yeah.
The true Washington wizard himself. And
Yeah.
I mean, like, he looks like a wizard today. He's got white ass hair.
True story. So Bill Clinton spoke at my undergrad graduation, and when he came out, my mom apparently started like panting.
He had has a pull.
Oh yeah.
And it's hard to describe.
Middle-aged white ladies were just like guffawing.
You know what middle-aged white ladies also guffaw at? John Tavares.
I mean,
Because he's not that much younger than middle age.
he's younger than me.
John Tavares did a cool and scored his 1,000th point in a game-tying goal against the Islanders on Long Island, who he used to play for and was drafted first overall and spurned to go to Toronto, and they booed his ass hard.
As they should.
And it was great. Like, sometimes there can be a modicum of respect in a boo like that.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Like that is a boo of respect and hate, because it's New York.
Islanders go on to win in overtime, so it was sort of all for naught, but just kind of a cool clip and kind of a cool moment for a player that he's in his last few years of serviceability. He gave up a pretty embarrassing 3-on-3 0 effort on the defensive back check goal on the Marchand goal. Was like a week or so ago. He was videoed just like, he's on the far side of the play, but he's videoed just not skating back and looks like a chump, whatever.
Have we gotten to the part where I'm sad? The last bit that we're going to talk about here? Because it makes me sad.
Makes you sad? Because he was happy.
Yeah. I was sad. Like a little piece of me died.
Your new boy, Patrick Kane.
He is not my boy.
Scored his first goal for the Red Wings, and he sellied hard. He looked like he had just done a fresh bump in the bathroom.
Wouldn't put it past him.
It must have felt good to get off the schneid like that.
It was
your first goal.
It was a great shot.
It was a great goal.
Like he looked off the goalie, like Patrick Mahomes looking off defensive backs.
It was a classic Patrick Kane goal.
Yeah.
And, there's going to be more of those as the Red Wings are forced to boat race anybody that they play.
I know.
We can only hope that it can thrust the Red Wings towards the best season that they've had in years.
Before we go, it hurt my soul. Like deep down in my crusty old angry, just like degenerate soul to see Patrick Kane selly in a Red Wings jersey. It fucking hurt. Not just because he was a Blackhawk, but because of the person that he is or was, whatever. I was talking shit on the internet about this and people were like, tell me something he's done since 2012. I was like, denied sexual assault. Like, something he's got good practice at. So, like, it's just, that was 2 years ago. Like, how soon we forget? For the first time in my life, I'm like minutely disappointed in Steve Yzerman. And
even when he makes an objectively good move,
yes. It's 100. He's cheap. He's still, he looks good. Like, he hasn't put up a lot of points yet, but he's moving a lot better than I think anybody thought he would, especially considering he's played like 4 games at this point.
Yeah, he sort of looks like his old self next to DeBrincat.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he finished with like 40 or 50 points despite missing 20 games. Like, it wouldn't surprise me.
That'd be amazing.
He looks good. He has a no trade clause, which I'm sure he'd waive if the Wings fell out and he could go back to the Rangers or whatever. I don't know.
I was just going to make that.
Great minds think alike. Anyways, but like, it just hurts my fucking Michigander, Detroit loving soul so much. Like, I hope it works out, but I also, if it doesn't, I'll be like, see? Poison.
Yeah.
Seeing Red Wings fans with Patrick Kane jerseys, his first fucking game in Detroit. You fucking savages.
I mean, well,
are the worst.
No, all those people already had Sprong jerseys and they just, covered over the name.
That would make it worse, actually. Like, keep the Daniel Sprong 88s.
Yeah.
I like Daniel Sprong. I think he's been a great addition.
Me too.
Fuck. All right. Find us on the internets at all these fucking stupid Patrick Kane places. handsomehockey.com, Handsome Hockey Podcast on Instagram, Handsome Hockey on Threads, where you can say fuck Patrick Kane, at Handsome Hockey on Twitter, or handsomehockeypod@gmail.com if you are a millennial like Patrick Kane and still use email, you fucking stupid simpleton fucks. We also have a Facebook page. Again, Patty Kane's just living on fucking Facebook, and we have a YouTube page.
Yeah, he's got to go to Marketplace to get all the stuff for his new spot.
Oh, I'm sure he's just living in Plymouth, hanging out with his best friend ADB. He's married and has a kid now, I guess. So he's probably not like hunting poon down in Royal Oak or some bullshit like that.
I wouldn't put it past him.
But God, I fucking hate this. I fucking hate this so much.
And I would hate it too if it wasn't so entertaining for you to hate it.
Yeah, I'm glad you're happy. I like when the rumors first started, I was like, there's no way Steve Yzerman would do that to me. And now
Please
he
God,
has.
no. Please God, no.
Like my brother and I were like, no.
And then it was like, what? Rumored he's going other places, and you're like, oh, thank you.
I was like, yes, he deserves Florida, and Florida deserves him.
And then, Then the worst possible scenario happened.
Patrick Kane in Hockeytown is the saddest thing that has made me sad in a sad, long, sad time. In a sad year, in a sad place, in a sad time. The worst thing is Patrick Kane.
Would you rather them suck shit and get rid of him than be successful?
Don't do that to me, dude. Don't.
How about for another episode?
That'll be the we get drunk in the summer episode, after the season, and I tell you my deepest, darkest hockey secret.
So the Red Wings won the cup with Patrick Kane. Do they bring him back?
I'm about to throw this microphone at you. Well, have a great night. Thanks for listening. Stay handsome, everybody.
Restez-vous tout le monde.
Fuck Patrick Kane.